Okay, everyone. So that was interesting. Very, very interesting. So Malika obviously couldn't go. It looked like that reedbuck was so close to her, but I think it was on an island in the lugger, and I don't think she could get to it. I'm not sure. I think she didn't want to risk injury. Or perhaps she was teaching the young boys. I don't really know exactly why it was that she didn't go for it. Perhaps she knew if she did it would go into the water, and maybe she was reluctant to follow it there. But a very interesting display of, yes, in a way, social hunting with these cheetah. And actually, I tip my hats to the young males. They planned that pretty well, considering their level of inexperience. Certainly, Mom's been teaching them well. But still, that instinct was there, and interesting how that predator instinct to do that pincer movement, where one moves and the other stays, is fascinating to witness. Shame, boys and Mom. It's been a pretty unsuccessful day, huh? No luck hunting from the morning till the night, and at the same time now you've got wet feet and soggy fur. Good, a really, really good effort on Malika's part. It just didn't work. Okay guys, we're probably going to follow Malika a little bit longer, just until the sun sets, and then we're going to leave her be. So while we follow her along in the Masai Mara, Noel has succeeded in finding something much larger and much bolder than our cheetah.
We have a young male elephant. Very exciting. Busy feeding away, enjoying this nice, cool weather. And we have to thank Kirst in FC for this, because apparently he came past camp and then she was so kind to give us a shout and just say, "There's an elephant, come look." So thank you, Kirst, we appreciate that. Oh, sorry, Kirst is telling me in my ear it was Xander, it was Eggsy. So thank you, Eggsy. Alright, so he's been feeding here for 5 or 10 minutes. And then obviously he's decided that whatever food he could find that side was good enough for now. And he's going to come out into the open. So you can see him in all his beautiful glory, dragging his trunk there a little bit as he walks. Just smelling that marula, seeing if there's some fruits. So sorry about the poll, everybody. We have the roof on because it was raining this morning, and then it's supposed to rain again this afternoon. It's been spitting on us a little bit. So it will come into frame from time to time. You can see as he moves around, he's picking up his trunk and smelling a little bit there. He's smelling to the side and the bottom, and then he was there he goes again doing that. And then he was smelling us from time to time. The wind is coming from in front and behind us a little bit, so he knows we're here, he can hear us. But I also have a feeling that he's possibly smelling maybe other elephants in the area. They do communicate subsonically through their feet, through infrasound, but also that smell assists them as well. So this young male will most likely be on his own for the most of his adult life. Every now and then he might be with an older adult bull, or when he gets quite old, with a younger male teaching him how to be an elephant. So now where he's moving, I just want to maneuver our car a little bit just so that we can keep watching him, since he is out in the open so nicely. So I'm just going to reverse us a bit and hopefully not crash into anything while I'm doing that. You know, you're saying it's looking like he was saluting me. Yeah, I like that. We'll go with that. He wasn't smelling, he was saluting. That's a great comment. Thank you. Excuse me. All right, ripping off a little bit of that marula tree, rolling the branches between his molars. He has a ridge on his molars that allows for that bark to come off, and then sometimes they'll eat the whole branch, and sometimes it will just be the bark, depending. He's hiding his face a little bit. He's checking just at the base of that tree for marulas. Sorry, my angle is not 100%. There we go. Quite callous, so they're good with that. They're sensitive to some sounds. I do know that if you have a problem elephant, and by a problem elephant I mean an elephant that, say, keeps coming into your lodge, you can shake like a Doom canister. You don't spray the elephant, but that shaking sound, that ball inside of there, they don't like that. They also don't like bees, so I don't know if they're sensitive to the sounds the bees make, or if they're sensitive to smells or pheromones that they have, but there's a couple of things that they're sensitive to. Oh, it was to smell. So Sinak, you're asking if they're sensitive to smells. Well, Sinak, they have an extremely acute sense of smell, so they're very good at picking up pretty much, not anything, but on levels that we would have trouble picking up. They're very, very, very good with smells. I was doing a bushwalk many years ago in scrub mapani thickets, which are sort of little trees, and they sort of sit here and you can't really see above them, and it became overcast like this, which is always difficult. And all of a sudden there was just some elephant trunks a couple hundred meters away coming up like this. They had smelled us from a while off and had moved through, and then continued to try and pick up our scent. Our wind kept switching around. So yes, they're very, very, very sensitive to smells. So what this male is now doing is he's hopping from marula tree to marula tree. So I think our best bet for keeping a good visual on him is actually to just pull around the corner here. It will give us a little bit better angle and a little bit better visual, and we can watch him go from marula tree to marula tree. And they do that this time of year because the marulas are starting to fruit. And as some of us know, or some of our new viewers might not know, is some marula trees have fruit and some do not. And so he's just checking from tree to tree to tree. Hey, buddy. Want to get around him a little bit, moving off this way, and this time of year, there he's saluting on the bottom again. This time of year, because of these marula trees, they zigzag. So cats, like the lion and leopard that we were looking for earlier, cats will sort of have a general way of just sort of walking in a roundabout straight line, and elephants have almost a straight trajectory, but when it's marula season like this, it turns into a zigzag formation of note, and they're here and they're there and they're up and they're down. I used to work with a tracker that whenever it was marula season, he would just say, don't worry, we're not tracking elephants, we'll never find them, we must just try and jump ahead as much as possible. But it's hard to jump ahead when they zigzag like that. There's some, I think it's Diker or maybe Steenbok in the front there. Some Diker, there we go. Two of them. Dikers are a small antelope similar to that Steenbok that you saw with James. They also mate for life. You usually just see the one. It's nice to see the two together. And not afraid of the elephant, but, you know, sort of moving off. He's now switching from a marula tree to an acacia tree. Nope, he doesn't like that one. He's going to carry on. Interesting, he's still smelling a little bit there. It's almost like half a smell with a little bit of displacement behavior. But you could see as we were moving the car, he wasn't bothered by us. He's relaxed tail, relaxed ears. He still has relaxed tail, relaxed ears. Ryan, you're curious about how fast an elephant can run. Ryan, you can read in books certain things about the elephants running sort of around 50 to 55 kilometers an hour, but I've clocked an elephant at almost 75 kilometers an hour. And for that in miles, let me just do a quick little bit of math just now. It would be... Sorry, my brain is stopping for the moment. It would be about 50 kilometers an hour is about 31 miles per hour, and then sort of up to about 75. So you're looking at between 31 miles per hour and 45 miles per hour, right around in there. So quick. The only thing you can outrun in the bush is a tortoise. An elephant, definitely not. Even that duiker, definitely not. And looky there, he zigzags again. Well, how fantastic was that? Very good to see an elephant. We're going to let him carry on his way into the thickets there, and we will see what else we can find for you. Thank you, Eggsy. Thank you, Kirst. FC got a little bit of a game drive from camp today. It's always good. You can see our clouds are starting to come down again. And we can feel the moisture a little bit on our faces now. So, Jackie, I'm so sorry. Can you just repeat your question one more time for me? While I'm busy relaying that information. Oh, look, here's all of our impala. If you were watching with us the other night, Vildy and I came out and did a last move. Oh, Jackie, you're curious about why that elephant was alone. Male elephants, Jackie, in general are alone. They tend to do that. The herds of elephants are females and youngsters. The males get kicked away when they're about 15 to 18 years old. And then they're either solitary or, as we discussed a little bit earlier, they join up with another male and sort of learn how to be an adult male elephant. And then sometimes when it's drier, you'll see lots of males around a little watering hole. So, impala in the background here, up into this open area. If you were with us the other night, Vildy and I did a little segment with them coming into this area as it gets dark because they feel more safe. And with the wildebeest, you can just see a little baby impala bounding in the background there, following mum. And that female that just walked in front of the screen is looking heavily pregnant. I know that this morning Ralph managed to get a brief glimpse of an impala giving birth, but unfortunately had to leave just to allow her to settle down. It is an amazing thing to see impala giving birth, or wildebeest will start giving birth sort of middle of December to middle of January. I've seen a giraffe giving birth once. It's absolutely incredible. So we definitely have a few females who are almost ready to pop and supply us with cute little impala babies. Impala lambs, I should say. I should use the correct words. Alright, we'll get a little bit closer. I don't want to scare them off, but that impala lamb is very cute. This is a good time of year to go on safari because we are starting to see a lot of babies. I in particular really like impala lambs because they are identical to their parents. It's even mimicking mum's behavior there. Alright, we won't stick with them for too long. Obviously, as it's getting dark and the rain's picking up and the wind's picking up, she's a bit nervous. She knows that her little one is quite vulnerable, especially at this stage. So we will leave her in peace. Got another female just to the side here with her little one as well. We'll see if maybe they let us view them a little bit better. Nope, also the same thing. All right, impalas, we will let you be. Carry on your evening. Okay. Yes, there's quite a few. I'd say there's probably about maybe 60 impala total up here in the quarantine area. They're a little bit spread out. It's slowly filtering in for the evening. Our wildebeest should be coming up here, I would say probably in the next half hour or so, meandering out from the thicker bushes just to the side there. Now we've got a couple of males who are having a sparring match just in front of us here. And of course, as I stop to look at them with you, they've decided to go behind a tree, but we'll just give them a second. There we go. So we've got these two older males there. They've just stopped. And then to our left, sort of our 12 o'clock, we've got these other males here that are giving us a sparring match as well. So it's not rutting, it's just keeping the juices flowing and the muscles in check, and also they just have a lot of testosterone. They need to get their jollies out a little bit. And these two have noticed that the rest of the herd has moved off, so there they go. That one's trying so hard to get in front of the other one, but not in front to where his bum is showing, sort of in front so he can get the horns. And that one at the back's like, nope, it's fine. I've had enough exercise for today. Shame. Okay. So when the Impala lambs are around, like we saw earlier, and when the males are sparring like this, it gives a very good opportunity for things like Leopard to sneak up and have a kill, especially during rutting season, when the males really are going at it and vying for the attention of females. The leopards do a good job because the males just have no concept of what's going on. They're way too.
And I'm not going to try and follow her now, not in the dark, not without my headlights. My headlights aren't working. So I'm racing now to try and get us home. We're probably about an hour from home, which is fine. We've got a ranger with us, but we're about an hour from home and that storm is coming in. And it looks as bad as the one that we had before. So I'm trying to avoid the situation where we're caught in it. Okay, so we do apologize, by the way, for the issues that we've had with our stream breaking up. Well, I don't think I need to explain to you that FC got struck by lightning and the weather's been really, really serious. So we do apologize. It's climatic conditions beyond our control. After the storm that's just passed through here, I'm impressed we've managed to keep broadcast. I don't think we're going to make it. I have the big spotlight. The one that we couldn't actually hold because it was so heavy. Well, we could hold it, but it wasn't much fun to use. It's attached to the front of our vehicle now to act as a headlight, but this one isn't working so well. Alice, I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of the engine and the rattling. Oh no, look at that lightning. Ah! Oh dear. Here it comes. I'm sorry about the wind noise as well. There's nothing I can do. We just have to keep moving. I really don't want to get stuck in that.
Right, well here we find ourselves at Buffelshoek Dam with a spectacular sighting of some water. Excellent. Good. Oh, look, there seems to be the shadow of a creature under the water, but... oh, and some hairs. Good. Yes. Oh, guess what it is, everybody? It's a Hedgehog? No. No, not a platypus. No. A scrubbing brush? No. No. Fascinating stuff. This. Let us wait for the mystery to be revealed. Oh, it's disappeared again. Goodness gracious, Seb, this is quite the most spectacular water sighting I've ever had in my life. Kirsten, in the final control here, says a hairy terrapin. I don't think it is a hairy terrapin at all. I think it is something quite else. Oh, look! It's two nostrils belonging to a hippopotamus known apparently affectionately by Seb here as Scuba Steve, on account of the fact that he does not in fact come out of the water. There is a second hippopotamus here. We will wait for a 2-second glimpse of him before moving on. Such is the extent of our luck this afternoon. Very poor indeed in comparison with yesterday's. No, Kirsten, I think hold off just yet. She says, should we do an action broadcast to Facebook? I think this may break the internet. If we go to Facebook, we'll have Mark Zuckerberg phoning us and saying, what do you think you are playing at? Please, my servers cannot cope with the amount of demand there is for Scuba Steve and his nostrils. Sure. Be still, my beating heart. Tesla, aged 7, you say you saw a hippo. Well, of course you did. Well done. That's exactly what it is, Tesla. There are 2 hippos here, believe it or not. Scuba Steve there, who's very shy. That's why he's only sticking his nose out of the water. And there's a much bigger one who seems to have either drowned or be holding its breath for an extraordinarily long time. Tesla, I'm joking. It hasn't drowned, I promise. All it's doing is holding its breath for a long time. You know, normally they stay under the water for 30 to 60 seconds and then they pop up again. But I'm told they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes. Well, this one's been under now for at least 3, maybe even 4 minutes. Oh, he's up! Oh, hooray! Look at that. Hello. Thank you for showing yourself. Much obliged to you. We're having a bit of a dire afternoon and you've just almost saved it. Don't go back. Wait, please stay. Please. Thank you. He's got some hairs on the back of his ears as well. Now, Ralphie said the other day, and I'm not sure if Ralph is in the final control. In fact, I don't think he is. I think he's tracking with Herbert. But he is in there. He made mention of the fact that, and I'd never heard this before, that female hippos have more pink around the eyes than male hippos. Is that correct, Ralphie? I'm just going to wait for feedback. He says absolutely. So I'm going to guess then that this is a cow, and possibly Scuba Steve, who's just put his nostrils out once more and put them back down again, is a companion cow or a very young, well, not very young, but sort of sub-adult calf, perhaps. We're now going to drive towards the hyena den. I haven't been there this time around, and so that's what we'll do. While we do that, Noel is apparently driving around.
James, I hope the little hyenas are out for you when you get there. Yes, we're just driving around, that's true. We left our wonderful impalas and our elephant that we had earlier, and now I'm just checking to see if Tandi feels like showing herself. So we didn't have any luck with the older tracks from Hasana, so we're just meandering around in areas that I think that she might go to if she were maybe out for a hunt, although if she's hungry, she should just go to quarantine. There's baby impalas everywhere all over there. Still no sign of Shadow or Shadow's youngster. Worked that area quite nicely this afternoon. Not picking up anything, so it's possible that she's somewhere with a kill, and we just can't see any tracks from the rain that we have. That's definitely a possibility. So our rain is coming on and off. It's not sticking around, which is good for right now because it's starting to get quite chilly. And wet and chilly is not always fun. And for the animals as well, they don't always like being wet and cold. So it can hold off for another hour. I think that would be nice. But it is a perfect temperature for lion and leopard to get out. Now, earlier we were chatting about some honey badger tracks that we saw briefly this morning, also some aardvark tracks. And so I'm actually hoping that some of our lesser seen, somewhat nocturnal creatures feel like coming out and joining us this evening. It is, again, a good temperature for them as well. Other than that, our birds have sort of started to disappear, going down and finding a place to sleep for the evening, either roosting or if they're ground-dwelling birds, into the ground there. And we are really just bumbling about. So if you would like, send us some questions and we can have a nice chat as we bumble about here. Hashtag Safari Live on the Twitter or on YouTube chat. Ooh. James Richard, you always have some good questions for me. James Richard, you are asking, what is my favorite habitat to explore other than the Lowveld area? James, my other favorite place besides the Lowveld is South Luangwa National Park in Zambia. I absolutely love it. It is more than spectacular. I've spent a couple of seasons up there. Most of the camps only run from sort of end of May, beginning of June till the end of October. Because during the dry season, because during the rainy season there's a lot of black cotton soil up there, and for anyone that knows anything about black cotton soil, when it gets wet you really can't drive on it, and it's just absolutely spectacular, especially the areas along the Luangwa River. I mean, I've seen pods of hippos, sort of 20, 30, sometimes more. The males fight because of the lack of water. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's head on up to James. He's got a big male elephant for us, and let's see what he has to say.
Well, we do have a male elephant here. He's good size, as most elephants are. You'll very seldom hear anybody say, "Ooh, there goes the small male elephant." But why I'm sounding a little nonplussed is that there are two little birds running after him on the ground. I'm just going to sneak a little bit forward and hope that he doesn't react to the sound of Wendy's aging bolts. Not that they're anything like as old and aging as the bolts in the Mara. I don't want to cast aspersions ever again upon you, my dear girl. Now we're quite close to him, which is not ideal. Oh, there they go. They're little starlings. Wattled starlings, I think. Is that a wattled starling? It's going to get stood on if it's not careful. Yes, a wattled starling. Isn't that nice? Then there's He's very lucky not to be stood on. Please don't go away. It's really been a slightly dire afternoon for us. Let me move forward and see if he'll stop. Is that any good? his little starling friends walking with him. No, he's just not very interested in staying around us, I'm afraid. Isn't that wonderful? Now, those of you who don't know or are not regular watchers, of course, those starlings are just picking up the invertebrates that he kicks up out of the grass, that he will sort of pull out of the soil often when he picks something up. Isn't that a wonderful little scene? I think that's really great. We'll obviously have better elephant sightings than that, but very interesting to watch the two birds going with the elephant bull. I tell you, I'm not going to follow him off road because he's clearly not that enamoured with having us around, and I think he'll just start moving much faster, which won't be very nice for him or for us. Scarlett, I think they do. You say, do elephants recognize human voices? I'm just going to, if he stops, then I'm going to go and have another look at him. He's not stopping, is he? Scarlett, I think they do. You know, you hear stories of elephant trainers and zookeepers and the like who have spent a lot of time with elephants. I met a man once who was part of an elephant safari outfit, and he said that whenever he called the elephants that he worked with from a long way away, they would rumble at him, but they wouldn't rumble at all people. So yes, I think they do hear individual voices. Whether the elephants here have got to know us well enough to know our individual voices, I'm not sure. One would like to think so, of course. You'd love to think that the elephants you see regularly here, particularly, for example, the Joy, you're asking a question about forest elephants that are small. Kirsten, go again with that, please. In English this time, preferably. Okay, you see those yellow flowers there? I just want to look at them. Joy, you say aren't... I think I understood it. You say, aren't there pygmy elephants that are small? And something about forest elephants. I couldn't hear exactly. So, yes, of course, there are forest elephants, Loxodonta cycloides. It depends on who you are as to whether you think they are a different species or a different subspecies of this elephant. Yeah. They are most certainly smaller than these elephants, but they are not they're not pygmy elephants. You don't get pygmy elephants. You certainly get pygmy hippopotamus, but you don't get pygmy elephants. So forest elephants, yes, probably about, I think a big male forest elephant weighs about 3.5 tons versus 6 tons for a big male African elephant. They're not small. I mean, they are still massive and intimidating. Here is a lovely flower on the Gruvia bush or raisin bush, and this one looks like Gruvia bicolor, the name of which is derived from the fact that the top and underside of the leaf are different colors, hence two colors bicolor. Just a pretty yellow flower. Ooh, and there's a nice little arthropod beetle here. I'm not sure how good the zoom is there, Seb. Can you see the beetle? Okay.
Yeah, I've got him.
There's a nice little beetle, the name of which I've forgotten. There are a few of them on this plant, actually. I'll get the name because I have my insect book with me. Okay, let me just have a good look at him. Yes, I've seen these many times before. You'd think that I'd remember their names. No, as soon as winter comes, all knowledge of flowers and insects disappears, along with the warmth. Oh, I just wanted to show you this. Bicolor, See, it's quite light on the underside and not quite as light on the top side. Hey? Yes? Shall I turn it over again?
You're a bit too close for the camera.
Oh dear.
Okay. Okay, now you can turn.
So exciting. There we are. Groovier bicolour. Let us not forget. Between Scuba Steve and that leaf. Okay, what did I want to do here? Oh yes, I wanted to. See, I can't even remember what I wanted to do these days. Righty, let us head across to the Beetleys. Who thinks it's a jewel beetle? Ah, Steph thinks it's a jewel beetle. I think he's right. I just want to find out which jewel beetle it is. There it is. Is it? No. I thought that was it there, but it isn't. It's definitely not that. But I'm
white, no?
No, it was yellow and black. I'm not with the jewel beetles yet, though. I will tell you that one of those things, I think, got into my underpants yesterday. I'm not going to show you the results, but they're not pretty. I'll tell you that for free. Let us not talk about that anymore. Now, I'm sure I've seen these things in this book. Let's just quickly look through all the nice beetles that we have here. There are the jewel beetles. He's certainly designed like a jewel beetle, but I don't see his exact makeup there. Anyway, let's go with Steph's jewel beetle. I thought he was in this book, but maybe my memory of him is simply from the fact that I've seen him so very often. Okay, let's go across to Noel, who is still driving around. I'm going to race to the hyena den.
Enjoy your race to the hyena den, James. We are still just bumbling around the side. We've decided to go check on Chitwa Dam and see if anything is around there for us. Everything seems to be hiding. It is a holiday in the States. It's not a holiday here, so I don't know what they're on about, but maybe they're having a holiday in sympathy of our American friends that are out there. And that wind is up. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, Virginia, you are asking how many times have I seen a pangolin? It's funny that you asked that. Phildy and I were talking about pangolins earlier. I've seen pangolin now. I've been very lucky. Maybe about 9, maybe 10 times now. Let's go with 9 that I can remember. Been very, very lucky with pangolin. A lot of my pangolin sightings have been in the Leopard area, and a few of them have been in Namibia. Pangolins are amazing. Tristan showed me a photo a couple of days ago of a friend of his and somewhere else in the sands who saw a pangolin with a baby on its back. I've never seen a baby pangolin. I've only seen adult pangolins. I've also seen a couple of pangolins when I was working up in Northwest Province, up near the Botswanan border. They're absolutely incredible creatures, and the tracks of a pangolin is actually something I've never seen. So we've been chatting about things I would like to see from the tracking perspective. I've never seen it. I've seen it in a book, but I've never personally myself seen it. So it imprinted itself nicely into my encyclopedia of tracks yet, and that I will be over the moon the first day I see pangolin tracks. Hopefully I do it while I'm on air with you all. You can listen to my little girl squeal while I get super, super excited about it. It'd be absolutely amazing. And sadly I don't have, for some reason I don't have my tracking book with me today, but tomorrow I'll try to remember to bring it with so I can show you what I'm talking about. And pangolins, yes, they're quite interesting with their with how they move. The first pangolin I ever saw was wrapped in a tight little ball and being played with by some young lions. They were trying to figure out how to open it. So that's their defense mechanism. It's to roll into a ball like that. But then when they walk, they've got like tiny little arms in front, and then or little legs rather, and then they've got big at the back, and they walk on their on their back feet. Curse is asking me to do their tiny little front legs like that again, and they walk on their back feet, so they sort of propel themselves like this in an elongated fashion. They're absolutely incredible. They nurse in front. They've got pectoral mammae like we do. And what else? Oh, their scales are very hard, keratin, sort of what your hair and your fingernails are made out of, but it's very hard. The texture is difficult to explain. I think I would equate that texture to almost like a stone, but not quite a stone, because it feels warm. I've been very lucky. I have helped to move pangolins that have been captured by people. Poach them because they're used for meat eating purposes, and the scales are used in medicinal purposes as well in some of the Asian countries, and I've been lucky enough to help handle them that way. And then also for research, when I was in Namibia, we put a little transmitter on one of them to monitor its movements, to see where it went and what it would do, and that's been very incredible. I believe I actually think Steve might have been with me in Namibia when we did that. I will have to double check with him. Steve, who did an interview a little while ago, when we were putting the transmitter on the pangolin, the super relaxed pangolin, he was putting his little nose into our hands. It was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. It's a soft little face. They're very cool. There's a guy that I worked with who used to do a lot of research in the Sabi Sands area, and he used to do a lot of research on pangolin. And one of the stories he was telling me one time, so this guy used to go out sort of walking, whenever in weather like this, but he would also go out walking at night. And one of the stories he used to tell me was about how he would go walking and following these pangolins, and leopards would follow him following the pangolins, being super curious, like, what are you, crazy human, what are you doing? And then sort of checking around him to look at the pangolin, and then looking at him, and then looking at the pangolin. I said to him, my friend, what did you do? He goes, I just let them watch me. And it's amazing. He spent years doing that. Look, he was also treed by lions and treed by buffalo and things like that. But yeah, it's an interesting, I can't even imagine what that must have been like walking around at night in the bush like that. I've done many hours of walking in the bush, but at night with leopards following pangolins, not so much. We've got two hippos here just on our side, and there seems to look like they want to have a bit of an interaction. So I think let's watch them for a second. So the one on the right-hand side has the tiny little baby. There, you can just see it popping over the head. And the one that was moving in from the left-hand side is a male. So as that male's moving through, obviously getting too close to that mom with the little baby, and she is showing him that she is very unhappy with his proximity. Very unhappy. So now he's staring at us. We have nothing to do. You made her angry, not us. And just on her backside, every now and then, you just see the little head of that tiny little baby popping up. There, they're just at the back. Oh, teeny tiny. Tesla, who is 7 years old, you are asking, why do hippos have hair on their noses? It's a really interesting question. I would imagine, in my train of thought, that the reason why hippos have hair on their noses is to help with feeling when they're smelling. So they can smell in the water, and they can also smell outside the water, and you can find their tracks sometimes where they're moving around, and it's very bristly, they're very hard, and so there must be some sort of tactile way for them to feel anything that might be almost about to touch their face. That would be my thought. So, and then when they're swimming, if something's about to come close to their face, also it sort of lets them know. I can't think of any other reason, but I am, when we're answering this question, I believe manatees, or dugongs as well, which are related to hippos, have a similar type of hair on the front of their face. Oh, That's a little bit of a more than a little bit of a display there. Everyone seems a bit agitated that this male is moving in towards this female with the little youngster. And then Tessa, I can't actually think of any other reason. I'm sure that there's someone that's done some more research than I have on that, but that would be my best guess. Now everybody goes quiet, of course. He's looking very sheepish, this male. And eyeballing us, of course. I've seen this happen with other male animals as well, not just... Oh, look, and there, Tessa, he's got lots of hair around his ears as well. Did you see that there? And there's the hair on the nose that you were talking about. Now, the hair on the ears that we saw there... Look, they are a mammal, and one of the defining features of a mammal is that their body's covered in hair. But for hippo, I mean, they live in the water, so their hair is very, very, very sparse. So for me, the hair around the ears is possibly just a remnant when they might have had a bit more hair in their bodies before they started evolving to just be in the water. That's one thought. The the other thought would be that it just helps keep the ears a little bit clean on the outside. That would be my guess. And then, Tessa, I don't know if you've ever heard the story behind how hippo got to be in the water. So this is the best way I know how to remember it. There's a few of them, but this version I've heard told time and time again, and excuse me if it's not the perfect version, but it's the way I remember it best, is hippo actually used to live on land and used to have a big mane like a male lion, and he was quite a proud creature and used to flaunt how amazing he thought he was, and he wasn't very nice to the other creatures, and the other creatures in the bush didn't like him very much. So one day there was a huge fire, and this fire was raging, and Hippo started to run away. Now, as Hippo starts to run away, because he just wants to save himself and his big, beautiful mane, all the other creatures in the bush started crying out for his help. Now, because he wasn't well liked, he was very surprised that they were asking for his help, but he decided, all right, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to do differently how I normally do, and I'm going to help all of these creatures. And in and out of the fire he went, and in and out of the fire he went, saving the rest of the wildlife in the bush. And every time he went in, his mane burned off a little bit more, and every time he went in, his big feet helped put out the fire, and every time he went in, his skin got more and more burned. So that by the end of it, the fire was put out, all the other wildlife was saved, but Hippo was left without a mane. He was left with very sensitive burned skin and very sensitive pink feet. And so the creator decided that because Hippo had been so nice and selfless, that he would allow Hippo to live in the water for the rest of his life and only have to come out at night so that the sun couldn't burn his already burned skin, and that he could hide his now maneless appearance that he felt didn't look as good, and be comfortable in the water thereafter. So, Tesla, maybe those hairs that we saw are from that story, and that's what's left over. This baby hippo, I'm sorry. So we had the uber cute baby hyenas this morning, uber cute little baby impalas this morning and this afternoon, and now we have this cuteness as well. Holly, you're saying that baby needs a ride, Mom. I agree. I think that baby is either saying, Mom, put me on your back, or it's trying to get down to her udder to nurse, and she's not really allowing it. She's not moving in the correct position, although she has turned over a little bit. Maybe she's giving him some space now. Look at that. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you all liked the story. I've got a couple more stacked in my brain, so we'll try and do some more stories every now and then. There's also a couple of really great books on not just South African folklore, but on sub-Saharan African folklore in general. And most of them are creation myths. And very similar to any of our viewers that are watching from the States, there's creation myths from Native Americans. And I mean, basically, most cultures have creation myths. And a lot of the creation myths here in South Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa deal with the wildlife because people grew up with the wildlife around. So there's some nice ones out there. And sort of why, it's interesting, sort of why animals are the way that they are and describing behavior in terms that is non-scientific. So, you know, science wasn't always around the way that we know it today. The oral culture behind it started first, and a lot of it makes sense, and some of it's sweet, like the hippo story we did now. Thanks, Tesla. I'm giving you thumbs up back, sweetie. Yeah, she's turning over. She's going to allow him to nurse now. You see that? She probably got annoyed with him jumping around going, "But Mom, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry." It's interesting because he's so small, he can't hold his breath as long as the adults can. It's for a lot less. So when he's nursing, he can only nurse for a little bit, and then he has to come up and then nurse for a little bit and then come up. Just as a thought. We've got a few more hippos coming out to investigate. It's also possible that they are coming over because it is starting to get a little bit dark earlier because of the cloud cover, and this is one of their exit points from the dam. They're coming one by one by one. Just start to see all these little heads popping up. And you can just see the little bubbles from the baby there. So this would be the baby that we saw just after it was born. I think it was last week. I've lost track of time. And the other female was eating the embryonic sac, the sac that was left over, which still has to be, other than the dwarf mongoose with the black mamba. That sighting is one of my favorite sightings so far of this month. It was absolutely incredible. And then the fish eagle coming and eating it. It was amazing. It's also amazing how that other female was utilizing what was left over from that birth to help augment the nutrition she needs to produce milk to feed her older baby. I just found it absolutely fascinating. So earlier we talked about the pangolin having pectoral mammy, having breasts, and nursing in front. And then I mentioned just now that the hippo has an udder. The udder would be at the back. Mary, you're saying you would love to see a baby hippo nursing. Mary, I would also love to see a baby hippo nursing. However, that being said, I am not scared of much, and I'm willing to do many things, but getting in that water with a camera to go and film that, I am not going to get near the jaws of that hippo, but it would be super interesting. I'm actually wondering if someone like David Attenborough's production team, or possibly one of the zoos, I know San Diego Zoo does quite a lot of work with the wildlife they have in captivity there, if they've managed to catch anything. I'm sure there's something out there. But in the wild, I don't know if it's been done, to be honest with you. I know that there was a gentleman who was doing a lot of underwater camera work with crocodiles in the Okavango Delta, but I'm not quite sure if he managed to do anything with the hippos. All right, let's head over to James and see if he managed to find any of our cute little hyenas. And we unfortunately are going to have to leave Chitwa Dam. They're going to have some special sundowners, so great sighting, and let's give you over to James.
There is the biggest eagle that we get here, the martial eagle. Now, difficult to identify from this angle, but for its enormous size. And I'm not sure that even the camera is doing it justice. It is, of course, over, I think it's 4 feet tall. Let me just check that again. 1 second, please. 1 moment, please. There it is, and it was being attacked or mobbed by a pied crow, which has, possibly one of the most unattractive calls of any bird. It is certainly no wonder that it is thought of with such a revulsion in sort of stories, harbingers of doom and death. Yeah, 81 centimetres tall. Well, it's not 4 feet actually, it's about 3.5 feet. In fact, it's not even 3 feet. That can't be right. 81 centimetres, I guess it must be. It's not even 3 feet. About 2.5 feet. But its wingspan is impressive. Its wingspan is up to 2.5 meters wide, and 2.5 meters multiplied by 3.25 gets you roughly 6 feet and 8 inches, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's even more than that. Not 7 feet. So quite a wingspan. Apparently this has utterly amazed the technical man. I don't think have the viewers met Conrad yet? We haven't met Conrad yet. Not introduced by me. Of course, Conrad is the new Connor. Slightly taller, at least slightly shorter, slightly stockier, and equally competent, of course. And his comment when I gave the size of the wingspan there, his comment was, and I quote, "Yo." Yo. Okay. There's actually a better, much better picture of him back here. Well, one more look. How's that, Seb? More? Is that fine? There we go. That's much better. Hello. Now, he's white down the front, of course, but what gives him away is that hood that he's got on the back of his head. And they look so angry, so irritated. A little bit like the girls in Final Control in the mornings. They look a bit like that. Their bed hair sticking up, angry faces, don't want to... don't want to talk. Very cross. Likely to lash out at any stage. Well, that's the Martial Eagle for you. Alrighty. So 100 centimeters, 1 meter would be exactly, or 1 meter would be 3'3". So he's only about 2.5 feet tall with a 7-foot wingspan. I'm going to get myself into too much trouble. Oh, and you know what? I mean, we are having our Thanksgiving dinner this evening on account of the fact that we have a number of Americans in camp. We are having a turkey, and most excitingly, an apple crumble will be produced after the drive, and I fear that I have reduced my chances of one or certainly not 2 helpings. I don't think I will get 2 helpings of the apple crumble as a result of my intransigence. And I'm told reliably in my ear that my fear is entirely justified and correct. Let us see what is around this corner. I haven't been back into this area now for 5 odd months. Doesn't look vastly different from the last time I was here. Tell you what is interesting though, I remember they covered a whole lot of the road here, an old road, with this brush packing with thorny branches, etc. And I'm interested to see how much difference it's made, and it really does. You can see, I mean, I've shown you what they've done with some of the roads further off to the east of where we are now, and they look fairly unattractive at the moment because they're packed full of clearly unnaturally placed wood. But look what happens after a while. You can hardly see it. This looked exactly like those roads. Now it just looks a little bit like some elephants have been neater than they are normally. But most importantly, you can see the grass growing in amongst the branches here. And so eventually the wood will rot away and be replaced entirely by grass. Good! Especially after a bit more rain. Rainbow Dean, you want to know if I could be an insect for a day, what insect would I be? Well, I think that I would not be a cicada, even though they are my favourite, because they make me think of summer, simply because I think that, I have a relatively musical ear, and I think listening to cicadas for a day would depress me as a member of the species. I think perhaps I would like to be a dragonfly. I think that their ability to fly and skit over the water is wonderful. I might choose to be a butterfly species of some sort, or alternatively a 10-spot leaf beetle. None of this is vaguely important because Noel has managed to achieve what I have failed to.
Yay! It's a leopard, and it's Kuchava, who we don't get to see very often. Now, it's very interesting. She's actually in Little Gowrie. We're on Chitwa side. She's in Little Gowrie, but she's made a kill, and she's in a tree, and we've managed to find this one little spot that gives you a beautiful, beautiful view of her. Super chuffed. Vildy is all smiles in the back because you know how much he loves leopards, as do I, and as do all of you. Now, I'm trying to see. Look, this is, again, how amazing our cameras are. We're probably 150 meters from this leopard, and she's up in a tree. So the amazing zoom we have is giving you pretty clear visual. I mean, it's better than my binoculars, to be fair. Now, I can't really see what is under her, and I'm wondering if it is actually a kill or if it's just a knot on that tree. Vildy, what do you think? Maybe just a knot on the tree? Maybe I was overexcited by the idea of a kill. Maybe I'm just overexcited by the fact that we have a leopard! Yay! I can't even deal. Yeah, viewers, I'm mimicking and appreciating and also saying I agree with you fully. Yay, yay, yay. When was the last time we saw this leopard? Was it with Tristan a couple of weeks ago? I'm pretty sure that was the last time we saw that I can think of now. You all might know better. Ooh, Tristan's in FC. He says, yep. Hello, Tristan. Now you can see nicely, we always talk about a spotted cat, but leopards are actually rosetted. So cheetahs have spots. So you saw cheetahs earlier with Jamie this evening. And then we've got these rosettes. So a spot is a round dot, a round mark that is one color, and a rosette is dark on the outside, a little bit squiggly on the outside, and then light colored on the inside. Another species that would have a rosette would be a jaguar. You'd find jaguars in South America. So outside of Africa, if there was an animal that I wanted to see, it would probably be a jaguar. We talked about whale sharks earlier, but that would definitely be something I would love to see. And then James Richard, you asked another area that I'd like to go outside of Africa would be the Pantanal. So we're being asked if Kuchava is territorial or not. So once leopards leave their mothers, specific from Philip. Sorry, Philip, that was your question. When leopards leave their mothers, specifically females, they go right into a pre-given, almost predetermined territory for the most part. They take over part of their mom's territory. So yes, she is definitely territorial. And then Tristan is also just saying from FC that he has seen her scent marking. So yes, indeed, territorial. Now, when it comes to something like little Hassana, who's still trying to find a territory because he's younger, he might display some territorial actions, but he doesn't necessarily have his own territory yet. Females tend to get their territories much younger than the males do. The males take several years. I've even known of male leopards that have to move tens of kilometers, if not 100 or more kilometers away to find a territory, all depending on obviously on population densities and sizes. Yeah, she really is a pretty cat, hey? She's much bigger than Shadow. I haven't seen Tundi yet, but this female to me is much bigger than Shadow. And for Tundi's size, Tristan, would you say that Kuchava is bigger than Tundi? He says no. All right. So Kuchava is smaller than Tundi. Now, viewers, you know more about Kuchava than I do, so I'd like whatever information you have. Bazilla, you're wondering if a leopard's ever fallen out of a tree while sleeping. I have never heard of such a thing. They are extremely agile and they know exactly how to fit themselves in. I have seen a leopard cub learning how to climb, fall, and just managed to catch one little claw in a branch before it plummeted to the ground. Not high up, but lower down. I've seen lions fall out of trees because they are not as adept at climbing up and down, but you'll notice the way that this leopard, how she is putting her body, her center of balance is perfect, and she's extremely comfortable. I don't know if any of my guide friends have seen a leopard. I would be very surprised of a leopard falling out of a tree while sleeping. They also don't sleep heavy like we sleep. They catten up. Sorry for the pun. There's birds flying around us, and their alarm calling has a lot to do with her. She's breathing quite heavily, especially for the time of day that it is. So to me, she's looking, it's hard to tell from this angle, but she's looking full, and then with a breathing, with a breath like that, it usually means that she's got a full belly. The heavy panting allows the body to help process the food inside the stomach. James Richard, thank you again. James Richard, you were saying that Kuchava is 3 years old. She is the daughter of Tundi and most likely the daughter of Mvula. Mvula is my favorite male leopard in this whole area. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. It's good to know. And yeah, at 3 years old, she's definitely going to be territorial. It would be unlikely for a 3-year-old female to not have a territory. An unlikely scenario would be she had a territory and then was kicked out of her territory by an older female. That can happen. Or possibly, I've seen females that have had bad injuries and gotten sick and then sort of been pushed out. But that's in high population density areas, which would be an area like this. So you all were thinking a similar thing to what I was thinking. I also thought she was lying on the kill, but it seems as if you all have a bit of a better view as I do, and you say it's just the branch. I think we'll have to possibly agree with that for now. It's interesting because that branch looks very knotted and gnarled. Possibly there was a fungus that was growing there. Can't honestly say why it looks the way that it looks. I also don't see any legs of a kill lying there. And again, I was just very excited with getting this sighting in and excited for you all. And as you know, when I get excited, I get very excited and tend not to take in the whole picture. It takes me a minute or two. I think let's stick with her. I know she's sleeping, but we haven't seen... Well, we saw a leopard yesterday evening with the gentleman, and we saw a leopard yesterday morning, very briefly with me, but... You know, we've been traversing quite a bit today. Myself and Ralph this morning, and myself and James this afternoon. Looking. So it would be nice, for me at least, to sit with her, but you all must let us know. Is this something you want to do? Shall we stay with her and see what she does? Alright, let's head over to James. Maybe he gets a sneaky last-minute leopard while we wait for you to tell us what you would like to do.
Well, no, not a sneaky last leopard. I've got a sneaky last impala, though. Very exciting. The cup continues to run over for Seb and I. Does it not, Seb?
Yeah.
There we are. Let me go a little bit further, just to frighten it enough so that it runs away and we can't put it on camera. There we go. And now we will have the silence of the coming night. Just the white-browed scrub robins. One or two frogs I can hear. Oh, and the first one I've heard this year, bronze-winged courser. Wasn't that a lovely sound, Seb? It is. I will play it for you because I bet most of you don't actually believe that that's what it sounds like, but I promise you it does.
Sounds like a donkey.
It does sound like a donkey, doesn't it? Here we go. You see? Yes. I think it was pretty accurate, really. Such a lovely singing voice I have. Choir master would be so proud if he could see me now. They, of course, are men at a bar who have escaped the responsibility of family. They never took it on, the impala males. They simply have removed themselves from responsibility. Hello, David. You say I should take the place of Richard Attenborough. Well, I hope you don't mean in heaven, because of course Richard Attenborough is a war indeed. In other words, he's popped his clogs, as far as I remember. He was responsible for Jurassic Park. Is that the chap you mean, or do you perhaps mean his brother? Something of a hero, I think, for all of us. His name also David. I'm not sure which one you mean. I'm just checking that. I'm pretty sure Richard Attenborough's dead.
Yeah.
I think we all agree that he's no longer with us.
A couple of years ago, I think.
A little bit like the parrot. Mm-hmm.
All of you can, of course, you can see the spotlight because there is a game drive vehicle, a safari vehicle underneath her, spotlighting her. Nothing wrong with spotlighting the leopard. They're doing an excellent job of it. And then I believe you could actually see the flashes from the cameras from the guests. So when we're very lucky, we get to watch with our camera, and you all get to watch with our camera and then do screenshots. But the guests that are in the vehicles that have traveled here are using their cameras, and flash photography is no problem for a leopard or a lion or a hyena or any of these creatures that can see at day or night. So I'm very sorry if the flashes are bothering anybody, but these guests that are by her on Little Gowrie are probably having the most amazing opportunity and are going to take these photos home and treasure them for always, just like we treasure our screenshots and just like I treasure the photography that I get to take with my camera as well. So now I'm hoping that if she does decide to stand up and get down, that she meanders over to us here on Chitwa's side. But I have a feeling that it will take her... Ooh, she keeps looking up and to her left or in front of her. So it makes me wonder if there's possibly not another leopard over there, or if there's possibly maybe something she sees to hunt, or possibly something like a hyena that's lurking in the background there. Again, it's thick in the bush in the bottom, so I can't really see that far in. But she is definitely starting to get active. Oh, thank you everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. For our Thanksgiving here, we can be very thankful for a wonderful day out in the bush, or a wonderful year actually out in the bush. And for me, I am very thankful for this leopard sighting to show you on your Turkey Day. For anyone that is in the States, having that holiday today. So, Kuchava, I was really hoping for a cat stretch and a yawn, but I'm actually not going to complain because we managed to find a small little space to be able to see you beautifully as our last-minute leopard for the end of our show. There you can see as Vildy zooms out just how far we are and just how amazing it is to get that small little spot. So what a day of cheetah with spots and leopards with rosettes. How absolutely incredible. And of course, the insect life and the bird life. Tomorrow, I believe it's going to be Tristan and Ralph out in the morning, 5 o'clock our time. So you guys will definitely have to tune in and see what's happening. For anyone that had a Thanksgiving today, I hope that you have a nice, amazing time with family and friends. Thank you from all of us at Safari Live. Have an amazing day.